In him you also, when you heard the word of truth, the gospel of your salvation, and believed in him, were sealed with the promised Holy Spirit, who is the guarantee of our inheritance until we acquire possession of it.
Those who believed in forms of once saved, always saved will frequently point to Paul's words in Ephesians 1 that we are sealed with the Holy Spirit.
In Greek, seal is often, a stamp, a seal of approval, a seal that a king puts on something that it belongs to him. And seals can be broken, stamps can be effaced.
Everybody in Paul's world knew seals could be broken. There were seals on amphoras, wine jars. There were seals on documents.
The same thing for the word earnest, which unfortunately is sometimes translated as guarantee.
Well, guarantee. Obviously, you have been guaranteed your salvation by the Holy Spirit, and that's the end of it. You're going to be saved. Well, translation is a tricky business.
Even the word guarantee has more than one signification. But the word earnest is like earnest money. It means a down payment.
So we have been sealed with the Holy Spirit, meaning we have received the Holy Spirit as an inheritance, as a deposit on what is to come.
If you think what God's done in your life so far is great, you ain't seen nothing yet. The Holy Spirit is just the, if you will, first installment of God's work in your life and where this is all going.
Paul's wonderful statement about the Holy Spirit as a seal, as a down payment, allows us to make a distinction between assurance and eternal security.
About 4 times, the Apostle Paul speaks of the Holy Spirit as the proof that we are saved. What is the evidence that you are a Christian? The work of the Holy Spirit in your life. Changing your affections, changing your desires, making you able to live the life of Christ in ways that were simply never possible before the cross.
We have powerful assurance for the internal working of the Holy Spirit. We don't need some kind of eternal security. We simply need reassurance.
So that's the sealing by the Holy Spirit, that by receiving the Spirit, Romans 8:16, the Spirit bears witness with our spirit that we are children of God. And Romans 8, Galatians 4, God's put within us the Spirit of the Son saying, Abba, Father. So we have this deposit, down payment. That's the seal of God saying, you're one of mine. You belong to me. I've given you my Spirit. That's all it says.
He is not saying you can live any way you want in the meantime because you've been sealed. That would never be consistent with the teachings of Paul.
Paul goes on to warn the church of Ephesus that if they practice immorality and wicked sins, he gives a vice list. He says, know for certain, don't let anyone deceive you, he says, because a lot of people are deceiving people on this, let no one deceive you by vain words, because of these things you will not inherit the kingdom of Christ.
The same thing you have in Ephesians 1:13 and 14 about being sealed by the Holy Spirit, you have in Ephesians 4:30. But in Ephesians 4:30, it also says, not only are you sealed by the Spirit, but that you can grieve the Holy Spirit.
So we've been sealed in the day of salvation, but then he warns us not to grieve the Holy Spirit. And Paul is taking a reference there from Isaiah chapter 63, verse 10, when they were going into the promised land, but they grieved God's Holy Spirit, and they became his enemies, and he wiped many of them out.
And so we have to be very clear that you can do despite to the Spirit, like it says in Hebrews 10.
If we grieve the Holy Spirit, that's grieving away the means of our salvation.
If the Spirit troubles you this morning, thank God He's troubling you before you go to hell. The Spirit will leave you. Well, this is what you can do with the Holy Spirit. Accept Him, resist Him, grieve Him, quench Him.